So today I wanted to go through and show you how to enter a recipe into MyFitnessPal. It is a very easy thing to do, but it can seem overwhelming. So when you're on your home screen, you're going to click the More button with the three dots at the bottom. From there, you're going to go into My Meals, Recipes, and Foods. And it's easy to kind of do it this way all the time. But where it's really beneficial to do it this way is when you're making things like soups or you're meal prepping and you don't want to put containers out and you have a lot of different ingredients in there. It's a way so that you can ensure that you are getting the right breakdown each and every time, rather than trying to estimate how many servings are in a meal. So these are My Meals, Recipes, and Foods. When you go in, you can create a recipe by either going from adding from the web, where you can, the recipe we're going to look at that I did today, I just put the URL kind of right in the top here, pulled that recipe up. So if you have a recipe, if you're a Pinterest person like I am, I go in a lot of times and I just import recipes from there. Or the other way you can do it is you can enter ingredients in manually. Create your title. Under servings, this is really important for how many people. You want to make sure that you're always putting in one. And when you are creating recipes, it is also very important that you do use a food scale. It really does make this process so much smoother and easier. So I'm going to go back into a recipe that I created today. You're going to see I have baked turkey meatballs. The reason that photo is on here is because I did import this recipe in from a website. You can always, when you save one in there, you'll never really have to leave here. If you wanted to remake something, you can always look at the instructions by revisiting the website. We're going to go in and edit the recipe. You'll see I have the baked turkey meatballs. You'll see I have servings as 1. Calories, you'll see, are really high. Protein's high. All of these numbers look outrageous, and you're like, oh my gosh, no way can I just eat that. This is for the entire recipe that I made. Okay, so I'm going to hit the edit recipe button so you can go back and see. I imported the recipe from the website, and then what I did is some of the things that she had I did not have here in my pantry, so I omitted them. I added some different things in to change the recipe up a little bit. So by adding that in, what you're doing here in your ingredients list, this is the total amount. So I used, for example, the recipe called for 1 pound of lean turkey. I used 2 pounds. So I basically doubled the original recipe here. But I weigh all of the things raw. So I have my mixing bowl. I put that on the food scale. I add in the turkey. Then I add in my eggs. I weigh all that out. And all of this is all of the dry, wet ingredients, everything for me to make my meatballs. From here, I will go in and I bake my meatballs. At the very end, after I take my meatballs out, you'll see, so the recipe, as you can see it has that 1,733 calories. So that's for that whole entire recipe. Now we want to figure out what it is in terms of per serving of that recipe. So once I take my meatballs out, I have them in sauce. I weigh all of my meatballs with the sauce that I had. I weigh that together and I put that total here. So instead of servings, I edit it, go back in, get rid of the servings, and now I put in 2,001 grams. I do weigh in grams. You could put in ounces, but grams is definitely a little bit more accurate. And now I save that recipe. You'll see in here now, it looks really crazy. Calories are only 1. This is basically giving you what 1 gram of all of these ingredients together would be calorically. That's the easiest way to kind of put it. All right. So this is now this recipe. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to add this to my diary for today. As I go into the diary, I'm going to go meal number 2. I'm going to go to my recipes, baked turkey meatballs at the top. You'll see that has the serving size is 1 serving, and it's what we basically had. That 1 serving was the 2001 grams is what we put for a serving. So that was the total recipe. Now here, what this allows you to do is now I can have my plate out. I don't need to put separate containers in my fridge. I can have my plate and I can put, 5 meatballs, 6 meatballs, however many I want, and weigh those meatballs. So for today, it was 375 grams that I have. Hit that check mark. And if I look back into that in my diary, you're going to see that equals 325 calories. That 375, the number of servings, was basically the grams of that food. Gives me almost 40 grams of protein. It's 12.5 grams of fat and 5.7 grams of carbs. This is the way to do it so that tomorrow or later on today, if I wanted to have turkey meatballs again, I can just weigh it. It's also a great way to pre-log your days so that you can ensure that you're getting in the proper amount of protein, but all the other macronutrients can kind of line up for the day. Hope you liked the video.